Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is, wherever you are. Thank you for tuning into Speed Gaming for another Link to the Past Randomizer standard tournament, hard item pool. This is one of the last matches of the first round, Humbug versus NYRambler. I'm Eudaimonistic, joined today by @IronDack Rick. Rick, how are you doing this morning?
Well, you see, the last time I was doing commentary, it turned into quite the festive and fun-filled seed, so I'm hoping that these two runners don't mind the fact that I'm on commentary for this early Saturday.
Are you saying it was a festive seed, like an actual, or are you talking about just the experience itself, the character of it?
Well, the less that I say about that seed that you should be watching from SpeedGaming 2 yesterday, or rather SpeedGaming yesterday, well, yeah, you should be watching that race because that was quite the thrill.
And you can always catch the VODs on YouTube as well. Speed Gaming does have a channel for that. Definitely a great way to catch stuff. Although you'll see it sooner here on Twitch. But today we have Humbug versus NYRambler. I believe this is game 2. We'll get the overlay updated, I think. Yeah, so Humbug is up 1-0 on the series over NYRambler. From what we saw in the pregame chat, I believe it was a sword difference on Pyramid Ledge. Looks like we're about to get started.
Oh, this is a good omen. Alright, here we go. It's time to rock and roll. Udai, what are we going to get from Uncle?
Well, this is a standard start. I'd love to see a bow. I think bow starts are really nice, but bombs are my second favorite.
What was what we had yesterday for that match that I was talking about? I don't think we want to see another bow star for a while. Anyways, we did see that Eastern is a green pendant this time around. And what is the uncle going to provide for us this time? It's going to be the Red King. Use with caution.
Absolutely. While you do get a full magic meter to work with, you don't have exactly infinite amounts of opportunity to farm for that bomb that you're hoping to have for the back half of Escape. Of course, we have to breed prize packs, and it may not even be possible to get a bomb before you finish the standard sequence, but our runners are going to attempt to be magic efficient doing so.
Well, we do see a blue rupee coming out of one of those green guards, so I'm thinking that this is not going to be the prize pack that these two want. So we're going to go through Escape. We're going to do everything that we normally do for the Escape portion of this for this series. Humbug with a win here will advance on to the second round. We'll be facing off against Pika Pals, who won in his pairing against CS Tutor. For Rambler, he needs to win this in order to stay alive in the tournament and to force a Game 3, which would be tomorrow morning, if that is the case.
Yeah, really excited to see it here early in the weekend. This is a great way to start our Saturday of matches. We do have several other ones on the schedule today, many of which are starting the second round, so a lot of our runners are looking to schedule ahead, trying to speedrun both the seeds and, of course, the tournament itself in true form.
And some of them are just trying to wrap up these round 1 matches, like this one here between Humbug and Rambler. We also do have the match that's coming up at 11 o'clock, featuring Co-Write and Obscure Lifeform, and that was the one that I was mentioning about Game 2 yesterday, about the one that I was doing commentary on, and that was absolutely disgusting. Let's just say, in short, that the pedestal was not the end of the food chain for that seed.
Things you love to see, things you hate to see. The viewers delight either way, I imagine. As I did not get to witness it, but I will be watching that VOD from that description. We're seeing some Kena Samaria strats, of course, from both of these runners, both attempting to not overuse it. NYRambler with a slight edge in terms of magic usage, but Humbug a good full 2 screens ahead of him, almost.
Well, there's one part of it that is the fact that Rambler has checked the map, but obviously there has been a few execution differences here because Rambler ran into a little bit of an issue in the first room there with a guard that you had to get the key from. So that I really think was the magnitude of the difference between these two so far, as we already do see Humbug done and has left the room as Rambler now gets to that chest.
Alrighty, well, standard sequence, of course, going to bring Zelda in tow all the way through the rest of the escape sequence. We will get a free light cone in this sequence, in this part of the game only, a hallmark of the standard start. For those of you who haven't either been tuned into the tournament or paying close attention to our inventories, walking through them in every single standard escape sequence. So we will get to see some more combat here, only a little bit of magic to work with for trying to find that bomb. I don't know, Rick. I mean, we saw the rupee prize pack from the guards. Do you think the snakes or the rats have any hope for us?
Well, the snakes will not because of the fact that the snakes are going to be on the same tier as the guards are. But the rats, well, we do have a little bit of a chance. Now, the problem, of course, comes in the fact what our starting item is the red cane. So you don't have a lot of opportunities. And we do still have that chance with that one chest in Dark Cross as well to get some bombs. But this, I mean, it's tricky. It definitely is tricky. Of course, the good thing is the fact that you can lay down one block and let the rats run into it, and therefore you can use one block to kill multiple rats.
Yeah, I believe it's up to 3 total hits from the Cane of Samaria max. Humbug here not opting to take too much time over the rats here in the first room, looking to hopefully save it for all of the rats in the back part, which are much easier to see and much easier to aim for. Now, we saw, of course, Error and Chad talking about the 3 out of 7 good chance of a good prize pack, and you mentioned that you're not guaranteed the items either. Most prize packs have a 50% drop rate, depending on the way you kill them.
And some of them have the bombs deeper in the prize pack. Now, that gives us... Is that a magic jar on the first drop?
Yeah, so that is the I'm trying to remember the name of it, but basically it's the best prize pack. You can get an 8-bomb stack, I believe, a few more kills in. Or I might be mistaken.
I think that was the magic drop group. So you're going to get a whole bunch of small magic jars. I think if you got the magic as the second drop as opposed to the first one, then you're in that variety prize pack.
Yeah, the variety one is the one that you want. So Humbug, recognizing this, will not waste any time killing any more rats, and it looks like Ramblers sniffed this out as well.
Yeah, this is a very critical piece of information to know, and it's good to see how many runners have actually opted to use this information to their advantage, because you could waste a whole lot of time killing things unnecessarily, and, you know, this is the difference between leaving escape for these runners right now. We saw Humbug leaving at around 6 minutes even versus what could be like 6:15, 6:30s because you're killing everything trying to get that drop. So we are seeing a little bit of a divergence here as Humbug is going to go standard into Kakariko Village route. And it looks like Rambler, well, I thought he was going to maybe... Well, he doesn't have any bombs, but he looks like he might be going towards the cave over here to buy some bombs.
Yeah, initially I was kind of thinking this is the gutsy choice to go over to Eastern, but you're absolutely right. You get to scout out the shield here on the island, knowing that you're not going to have to check it later. Saves you a couple of transitions.
Oh, hello.
Here. That's nice.
That's a really good discovery here for Humbug. It's not going to have to purchase any bombs for Kakariko Village. So... obviously, maybe Rambler taking the weight of the fact that it's a green pendant for Eastern, that's a piece of heart over there on the Lumberjack Ledge. Maybe Rambler taking the idea that it's green pendant Eastern is maybe... Yeah, I don't really need to be here now, so let's scout out the area, grab the items, and go.
Yeah, this does give you immediate access to 3 items. He doesn't have quite the equipment he wants to finish Eastern, or even really dive deep into it. You kind of want some kind of weapon that's a little better than a Samaria, technically possible. But that moon...
Oh, that's a real good find. Now, this will pay off for Rambler if it does turn out to be that we have the other 2 components of the Dark World Axis by way of the Kakariko portion, because then Rambler can go right straight to the Dark World and save himself a little bit of time.
Yeah, so this is going to be heavily dependent on what else is in the area, whether or not Rambler can use that to heavy advantage. For example, if we ended up with a whole lot of rupees, that might make the whole Waterfall Cave sequence break more appealing later in the Light World routing. Humbug might not have that option if those rupees are on the same path. But we'll see. So Humbug has already finished out the Lost Woods area. Rambler here has found out about the hearts that's available out here, and then the drop down. But Humbug is a good, gosh, I'd say 3 or 4 screens transitions ahead of Rambler going into the village.
And of course, that is partially due to various routing differences here. And again, if we do get the 2 components for Dark World access here in Kakariko Village, then Rambler's going to have a little bit of an advantage, being able to go right through the portal here and start scouting out the village of Outcast on down towards Hype Cave. But so far, we haven't really seen that in our first of the rich areas, the rich chests to heavy locations here in Kakariko Village. We'll see how the well turns out.
Yeah, it's definitely a heads-up decision to scout out Sahasrahla here. I guess when you're down a game in your last potential opportunity, there's flippers. You definitely want to try and get as much information ASAP. So Rambler definitely making a shrewd choice. Finding another cape as well here in the back of the well. We got 3 more items here.
Now that's our second shield, a piece of heart, and 20 rupees. So the odds of us getting that Dark World access before we leave Kakariko Village is going to be decreasing here for Rambler. That hookshot is interesting.
Yeah, as of yet, we don't have means to get over to the Death Mountain just in this sequence, but having a hookshot before boots is definitely going to speed you up. Helps in several different access points. Also, a really solid weapon going into Mini Moldrum Cave.
Yeah, that's the best use of that at this early stage. You don't have to rely on bombs or Cane of Samaria Blast to try to take care of those Mini Moldorms. Going to the back of the tavern, and we do get ourselves 10 arrows there. So we are not going to get any sort of Dark World access before we get into... before we leave the village. So Rambler's advantage by getting that Moon Pearl has now been minimized.
Yeah, so we're going to get a little more information here. Humbug going to check the library, only finding a piece of heart. We'll be checking the race game. We'll see if he's going to dive right in. Probably not.
By the way, chat is pointing this out. We do have what seems to be a beginning foundation of the Aga starters kit here with what we got in Kakariko Village.
Yeah, as of yet, we're really just looking for a lamp and a sword. That would be all we'd really need in order to finish this out.
Yeah, and then the flippers plus the hookshot give you something to do after you're done with Aga. That's where they're really going with that idea. But of course, we still have a few heavy locations here coming up. We do have South Shore. We do have, by way of the flippers, some of the flipper checks can be accessible as well.
Yeah, interesting thing to bring up, though, on the oft-forgotten flippers plus hookshot combo to get to the west side of the Dark World. A lot of people don't realize this, but you can actually swim up the river, take the ladder, and hookshot across. So a lot of folks, when they're first playing this game, particularly the randomizer, don't realize that they're blocked by that. They think that they're stuck.
And I'm going to speak for myself, and I said that was me back in 2017 when I was first starting out with the Link to the Past randomizer. It did happen to me. It was one of those cases where I had no idea what to do, and I didn't realize that was a way that you were supposed to get over the river.
All right, some magnificent, almost magnificent hookshottery from Humbug. We're going to see the 5 items here, 4 from the chest and 1 from the Generous Thief.
Seems like the Generous Thief is more generous than anything else we've seen. Well, okay, this is the Medallion Cave, apparently, with 2 of our 3 medallions in there, the Quake as well as the Ether, but more heart containers to give these runners some life in this game here between these 2, where, again... If you're Rambler, you want this to be kind of a less complex seed, maybe more straightforward, but I don't know. I don't know at this stage how you're feeling when this seed is really haven't given us anything to do outside of these flipper checks.
Well, I gotta say, with the flippers available, this Mini Moldrum Cave sure feels, I don't know, a bit coin flippy. And, you have those water checks available to you. Humbug here is going to check the hobo, only finding the bombs. Still, without the rupees, Zora can't feel great.
13 minutes and 6 seconds was all it took for you to get a pun in there.
You know, we gotta let it space it out. You know, can't just do them all at once. Alrighty, so Rambler, of course, has the same, you know, predicament in front of him. Has the hook shot. Not a lot of health to work with right now, but no rupees for Zora. These two can't feel good about going through that whirlpool.
Yeah, and they don't even have a way to Houlihan at this stage because of the fact that they've got the flippers, so the one primary source for Houlihan at this early part of the game has been removed.
Yeah, so we're creeping up here on at least some sort of progression. It's either going to be this ice rod cave here, the water checks, or somewhere in Eastern that Rambler could have potentially seen earlier.
Well, it's not here in the Ice Rod Cave. The seed just continues to start off not quite as promising and get even worse from there. So, yeah, we are limited on our options at this point. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, possibly 8 things that are in logic right at this point.
Yeah, I hadn't counted before, but Agahnim Cave would be like the one other thing we hadn't really mentioned. But yeah, I mean, not a whole lot of availability here.
Well, that gives us a whole lot of more things to do. Hey, we've already found all 3 of our shields.
And with a surprising sink, not quite the water container you're thinking of when you say sink, but these two are pretty much lockstep.
That flute opens up the entire mountain area, and it will make Agahnim a little more accessible for these runners, as now we're going to go ahead, save and quick, get to the sanctuary, where we're going to see pretty much simultaneous flute activations here.
And hopefully good use of the hook shot. We saw Humbug grab one of the trees there. Rambler potentially thinking about checking a stun prize. We haven't seen the stun prize yet from either of our runners.
So here's the interesting thing, is that the fact that we did see all 3 of the shields. Now, of course, later on when we go back to Lake Kylie Island, what does that 3rd shield become?
That becomes a green 20. That is the hard item pool hallmark. The items still exist. You can find them in different places from your opponent, but they are capped. And if you find the ones that still exist beyond that point, they're all green 20s. Of course, terms and conditions also include, total 13 heart containers. 14th is the sanctuary heart. Green mail, 3 swords. No silver arrows.
A lot of nuisances. Alright, so we're going to get the Agahnim check here from Humbug, and Rambler's not going to go with the old man because at this stage, the arsenal that we have to free the old man, well, you can do it, but it can get a little annoying based on the fact that you'd either be boomeranging, doing the red or the hook shot, or using the red cane to get yourself through. Okay. That was a staple of one of the qualifiers, right? Okay. We found both fire sources.
Well, you could say these two are on fire, or soon to be able to put things on fire. That is a fire rod lamp combo, both of which will be found by Humbug. Rambler may or may not end up going to Agahnim Cave anytime soon. With having one of those fire sources, might be able to do most of the things he needs that rod for anyway.
Alright, so Humbug at this stage is going to be dispensing some of his bombs to get him through this old man cave, or the Death Mountain Ascent is what this is pretty much trying to make sure that he doesn't get lost. And I think at this stage, he has pretty much just used the walls in order to figure out where to go. It was just getting through that first section that was the issue.
Better the ascent than the descent, as that is not permissible by the rule set. Major glitch jokes aside, Humbug does find the bombs, and will have the save and quit location.
Well, you could go through the descent, but that's not necessarily a cave that any runner goes through in this mode.
Yeah, very rarely seen. Of course, the major glitch thing I'm referencing be the clip that you can do through the bottom of the mountain and go through the screen's loading transition you're not supposed to go through to really mess with the world state.
So yeah, we're gonna have to keep an eye on about that fire rod location, see how long it takes for Rambler to get on over towards Agena. And the sooner that the game forces him over towards desert, the more likely he's going to get that fire rod sooner than later. But we'll have to see, as we do get ourselves a piece of heart. Oh, there's the hammer.
Yeah,
Get
that's
ourselves
definitely
a blue rupee and 50 rupees over here, a piece of heart. So, Tower of Hera access.
yeah, that's definitely good news for Rambler to find that hammer. Just in general, but also, he has a fire source. Until he has to do something like Skullwoods or Turtle Rock boss. Well, I guess going through Turtle Rock, you need the fire rod. Until those things become necessary, he's kind of not in trouble about that fire rod. It is a nice weapon, though.
Well, the more issue here is how much does this seed open up without that fire rod? If this seed really starts to open up a lot, then it becomes more troublesome because now you're starting to dive bigger dungeons trying to find that fire rod that Humbug has had since the minute 15.
Yeah, I was gonna say, the longer, as you mentioned, that goes, the more magnified that can become. It may just end up being a situation where that fire rod is not strictly required. We haven't seen the Dark World yet, but if Skullwoods is a crystal, things look a little bleaker for Rambler if more of the world's available to him.
So as we go through this Tower of Hera, 2 items inside, and we do have access to each of them. We do see Rambler opting not to do the Hera pot trick.
And got to show off a little bit of nifty quick swapping between hammer and hookshot to take out the beetles in the first required kill room. That was pretty nifty. You don't see that too often. But I think I agree with the choice to not do the Herapod. One, it's harder to do with the pause buffer, and wow, there's the ice rod.
This just only means, based on our arsenal here, that Turtle Rock's going to be an early dig as opposed to a late dig.
Yeah, that's the tough part. We have everything we need technically in order to do the dungeon. As far as what we know from our perspective, and that could. Ooh,
And now we definitely have everything we need to know once we get the mitts.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we need to be able to get into the dungeon and use the medallion. Absolutely. But as far as what you need to do inside the dungeon, we have the loadout we need. Yeah, so we're not that far away from that being on the table.
And Gina, I've heard it go both ways. I guess we got to get Miyamoto on the phone one of these days to figure out what the exact pronunciation of that name is supposed to be.
I mean, you definitely given him a lot of credit for being a bilingual speaker then, although he does speak some English. I can't imagine the pronunciation's the same across the localization. We will get to see a Herapod from Humbug, though, using the the pause buffer strats, not the buffers.
The Humbug strat, which is fail at once and then climb up.
That may end up being the right call to make, though. You don't want to be overcommitting to a technique that could potentially lose you time if you mess it up more than once. And speaking of time gains, Rambler, in spite of the fire rod, is quite a ways further through the exploration of the Death Mountain at this point.
So we're going to head over here to Spiral Cave. That's going to be the last thing. Now, of course, that sword that we found in the Tower of Hera opens up our earlier discussed Agahnim play.
Yeah, we did get both of the things we needed here in the mountain. We got a sword and the lamp. That was really all we needed at that point. So for those of you who are playing along with that prediction, if you were hoping our access to Dark World, or at least Village of Outcasts, being through flippers and hookshot, you got a pretty good shot here. We need to find that lamp or that power glove ASAP Rocky if we're to avoid that.
Humbug versus Moldorm. 3 hits of the hammer, and Moldorm will be down. There. Well, that. I thought that was going to be a connected hit, but apparently not.
Yeah, Humbug was reading the attack pattern really well. Unfortunately, part of Moldorm's randomness is the amount of time he takes doing a turn animation and doing a chase animation is a random interval between 1 and 2 seconds, so you can very easily just whiff, not expecting him to turn all of a sudden, even if you read his movements right.
Well, that also plus the fact that we deal with the thing called the hammer hitbox.
Yeah, kind of a big deal. I mean, a small matter. No small matter. Definitely not easy.
Well, it is definitely a small matter. That's the problem. That's the problem with the hammer hitbox. It's so small.
You know, one of the best ways to, lengthen that, or at least make that better, is to hold your sword out. Of course, that's not very viable against Moldorm, who will just knock you backwards, but we put it to great effect against Helmasaur King in that fight.
That, or you can poke him with a sword, and it takes 6 hits, and you could get his 5th hit rage mode. And we do see Rambler being kind of funneled into going to a Gina rather early here to kind of make it easier for him to get that fire ride. Because if we do have to go the Agahnim route, guess what? What dungeon is going to be beatable once we get to the Dark World?
Certainly looking like, well, not Palace of Darkness, Village of Outcast, or we could probably do Thieves Town.
Skullwoods and Thieves Town.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, now he's kind of forced to, because I mean, what's the better alternative here? You could go to Eastern, of course, but you don't have the bow, and then you don't want to do Agahnim before you've potentially ruled out a glove there.
All right, so we're down to 2 options here: Agahnim, which is where Rambler's going, or there's something in Eastern Palace that we haven't seen yet, which looks like Humbug is going towards, based on the fact that he either didn't save and quit or hasn't moved to the flute on the quick swap. So therefore, we are going to get that Eastern Palace play. If there is... Oh, that's right, the back 3 of Escape. I forgot about this.
Oh, and we do not have a glove. So Rambler's got to go all the way through. The thing is that if there's no glove here in Eastern Palace and something important is back here, Rambler just took a nice leap into the lead here. And chat's pointing it out, we're pretty much at full parity between the two in terms of checks. Now we've truly diverged at that meeting point.
So you see Rambler taking some hits from the ropes to set himself up for what will be an eventual death warp, as we see Humbug coming up to the first item, and that is 300 rupees in item number 1 of Eastern. Maximum of 2 items remaining, but we are only going to guarantee to see 1 of those items. 3rd item could very well be on the Armos Knights, which we don't have access to at this point.
Well, this could be a make or break moment here for Rambler, as Humbug is still going to dive deeper into Eastern Palace to find out that question. 3 items, 10 arrows, a Master Sword.
Oh, that's deeper on the Ag axis here. So, Rambler's throwing down some bombs, trying to blow himself up to get that pass back to start. I think he's realizing that this just isn't the greatest option. The problem is that these rats only do 1/2. They do 1/4 of a heart damage. So, therefore, you got to get hit by them a lot of times. Rambler heading up here is going to now make the Aga play. So, I know chat loves Aga plays because they can throw spam random numbers into it on what we consider the blue ball guessing game, which pretty much means any number between 0 and, well, technically we say the cap is 15. Why is the cap 15?
Well, that is because of the 5 attack cycle. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th attacks are coin flip, whether you get a reflectable energy attack or a blue ball. The 5th one is always lightning. You can do nothing with that. First one's a guaranteed reflectable shot. So if you take those 50-50 odds, like 132,000 something chance that you can get 15 in a row, which, assuming you make every hit, is as many as you could possibly get in bad luck.
Who's the NMG runner who ended up getting that bad 15 blue ball luck?
An unfortunate man named Steven, also known as Scrivo, and he's the only one to have it recorded on live stream, and he did it twice in real NMG runs. But mathematically speaking, your average is likely to be around 3.
All right, Humbug's making his way into the tower now, and we'll see if he does choose to check the back 3 of escape, because that sword does make for an easier time as you're climbing up the tower. Obviously, we're seeing Rambler using a mixture of strats, including playing fencing with the guards. I don't think that strategy worked quite as well, but I'm more concerned about the fact that Rambler's about to climb up here to the 5th floor with only 3 hearts. These guards do a lot of damage, the red ones.
Yeah, I mean, you can very easily get bullied in this situation.
Oh, nice package here.
Yeah, getting that fairy is actually, interestingly enough, very similar to what you would hope to not see in an NMG run, as that would potentially ruin a prize pack in Turtle Rock way later. But getting one here, a very welcome surprise. Rambler also going to pull that key from as high up in its altitude as possible, saving a little more time there in the circle of pods.
All right, so we do see Humbug. Oh, that was actually pretty scary right there when he was tied up with the ropes at that door. And he's going to still need to be at least careful enough until he gets to the 3 items. He's down to that 1 hit that he can take. And these rats can sometimes be unpredictable of how they actually want to move around.
Yeah, so Humbug playing it safe and is well prepared for the Death Warp. We'll also get the Master Sword. The interesting thing here...
I was going to say, unless that piece of her gave him a refill, that would have been a bad time for that.
Yeah, I mean, 1 of 4 chance of them being messed up, but, you know, possible. So I don't think we've seen any blue ball attacks just yet from Rambler's fight.
I think we're just at the very beginning. There's 1.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see if Humbug's choice to go to Eastern Palace, which did not pay off in any meaningful way, will end up putting him too far behind Rambler, who has a pretty hefty advantage. Will not have to go to Eastern unless he chooses to.
So in the first cycle, we have 2 blue balls on the counter. This one's going to be a guaranteed hit number 3 of 6 that you need to get on to Agahnim. That's 3. Four.
Easy points, easy game, easy life.
5.
Yeah, there are folks out there who are so fast at the NMG run that they literally would have to reset at this point for the time loss. The ideal situation is that you reduce the total number of cycles. It's the lightning attack you want to reduce. Of course, getting 0 blue balls is a great, Aga fight. But you can't rely on that.
Until you PB it, then there's guaranteed loss. 6.
All I'm saying is it just forces you to get better at every other split. It's a blessing in disguise.
7. This is lightning attack number 4. You hate to see it if you're a runner. 7 blue ball Aga. And here's the thing for those of you who aren't aware, you don't watch enough of these races, Humbug's going to have the same luck with the 7 blue balls coming up here because it's seeded. We find out our pendants are going to be Thieves Town, Palace of Darkness, 5, 6 is vanilla except for the numbers have swapped.
So I'm very intrigued to see how, between these 2 runners, how they're going to handle different, controllable skill-based execution differences. Rambler here finding the half magic on the pyramid, but I'm very excited to see which of the boss fights they'll be able to perform better on their own merits. Of course, as you mentioned, they have the same RNG for something like Agahnim. Pretty much any of the attack cycles that are random are going to be dictated on a set RNG. When it comes to things you can manipulate, whether it's based on your timing in the fight, things like the blind fight or Vitreous, those will be random, but Ganon's warp cycles will not.
Hey, Sneehan, thank you very much for the 700 bits to SpeedGaming for the 1 for each, or 100 bits for each of the blue balls. Of course, SpeedGaming does thank you for that. That helps keep programming here on this channel, including these links to the Fantasy Rando tournament races. So Humbug now going to be getting the bad news that this is going to be a fun Aga with 7 blue balls. Rambler's going to see what the cape leads to, and the cape leads to something he's not going to spend all that time to grab.
Yeah, in my opinion, a better boomerang, but certainly not worth the time it would take.
The amount of time that you save, and that's really only in games tower do you actually use that boomerang at this point, is minuscule at best.
However, Rambler, basically seeing what was happening with that fire rod earlier, will go directly to Skull Woods, of course, has the incentive of the crystal, and working from the back to front can potentially find both items very quickly. We'll be checking the vanilla big key chest here first, which I think is wise if you're going to head to the back. It's very easy to do with the Cane of Samaria.
Find ourselves the map in the very first chest. So Rambler getting hugged by a Gibdo doesn't really want to do that too many more times. I mean, at least the good news is that this seed has been very healthy for these 2 runners.
But Rick, are you saying that he was getting wrapped up in the Gibdo there?
Absolutely, my friend, absolutely.
We'll be walking stiff trying to get past these popos as well, as he's, kind of looking like a mummy himself. He's half dead almost at this point. Rambler will opt to check the item in the back here first before going to the boss. Choice.
I think the idea here is the fact that he has taken as much hits as he has. So therefore, do this now, get the death abuse, and then go back to the start. As Humbug takes a look at the map and sees what we are dealing with, and there's the death for Rambler. He is going to go back to the start. Now, of course, he's not going to get any sort of health gains out of that because he's going to be starting with the same amount that he had going over to that chest. It's more of the idea of the limited walk back that he has to make.
Alrighty, Rambler with a fresh health meter and the half magic to boot will be burning through everything here in the Gibdo Hellway, as we like to call it, getting a full magic decanter on his way as well. Should be well equipped.
I'm going to say honestly here that Humbug is doing a move that I didn't even think of at this point. He's going to purchase some bombs first, and these are expensive bombs, 100 rupees. It's supposed to get you 30, but with a cap of 10, therefore you don't really see the maximum 30 out of this. But because we do have the hammer, we do have access to Hype Cave.
Yeah, and it could live up to its namesake. Of course, in older logics, this had more things more often, but a full heart container not unwelcome.
And a book could be something that we need. Oh, that's definitely a good find right there, and that's also a nice safety to have. Of course, it could be progression too, but yeah, you're gonna say yes to that tempered sword. So that was a pretty solid Hype Cave, and so far Rambler has seen inside of this dungeon a key, a map, and a compass.
Yeah, having a little difficulty with Mothula having the fire rod in tow. I gotta say, Rick, that really was the living legend Hype Cave living up to its name. I agree with you wholeheartedly. You want that tempered sword. The powder, the best safety in the game. Humbug, unfortunately, gloveless. Not in the best shape here walking west, but he kind of has no choice.
Yeah, because this is going to be a termination of the route here at the dig game, unless this turns out to be something that allows you to do something else. But that's very, very unlikely at this point. And of course, the book gives us access to Desert, which could give us the answer to, there's our other medallion with the bombos, that could give us the answer to whether or not we are going to need the boots this seed, because of course there could be something on the torch, there's the bombs, there's the save and quit, and Rambler's going to be making his way over here to the pinball room.
Yeah, I think Humbug's best hope there was either one of the gloves or more likely the mirror. Finding nothing there.
Oh, that's a very good find there for Rambler. That's the bow, which with 2 pendant dungeons being bow-blocked dungeons, we definitely do still need to get that bow logically to be able to beat this game.
Yeah, of course, even if we didn't need them for those dungeons, the mimics in Ganon's Tower, although you could technically circumvent that with mimic clipping.
Yeah,
We don't have boots.
that's what I mean by the technical aspect with regards to this game, of course. And as you point out there's the boot aspect here. But yeah, this is definitely a decent end find here for Rambler. Both the bombos, which we could still need as a medallion for one of our dungeons, and also the bow, which is guaranteed need for this seed. So let me put it out here. We are 2 lift upgrades and a mirror from potentially being in go mode.
Yeah, and the really fascinating situation going on here is that most of the lift upgrade possible locations are not blocked by a lift upgrade, so there's no necessary like exact progression laid out here for where you get your gloves. It may be forced in one direction, it may be bidirectional. We'll find out when we see the first one, and then the second one.
At this point, where do you think the gloves are?
Well, there's a lot of possibility. I think it'd actually be really funny if it was way in the basement of Thieves Town, in that room where you'd have to kill all the enemies if you don't have a glove. I think it'd be funny if it was next to the maiden's cell.
Why are you being so cruel?
You know, it just seems like a thing that would, one of those edge scenarios or edge cases where you don't want to do it, but you have everything else, so technically you should. Rambler here may end up doing so. Does have to complete the dungeon. I don't see a reason. Or no, he doesn't. That's a pendant.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking why you're being so cruel. It's a pendant dungeon.
Look, if you haven't found a glove at this point, 40 minutes in, you feel like you're not that far from go. I think you just kind of have to do everything here. A lot of people wouldn't, but in my opinion, if you've already found so much in Skull Woods, don't leave this behind for later. It is, after all, very slow to get back here if you don't find a glove before coming back here.
Yeah, and that's why you want to do whatever you can while you're in the area. We've now seen 2 bottles here at the Dark World, which is making me wonder exactly what the sick kid has. We found our first green 20.
Now, so that could be any one of the upgrades that we are not permitted to get in the hard item pool. Humbugh, for a second there, I thought I got grabbed by the Wallmaster, the Yoshi blending in there. We'll end up going all the way to the back of Skull Woods here. It's unconscionable to think that he's going to skip both the items in the front half after beating the boss.
What was that sprite that was the bunny sprite of Rambler for Homer Simpson?
I didn't catch the Homer one. Looked like it had a red hood or something like that.
Yeah.
Or is that Evil Homer?
Must be Evil Homer, yeah.
I'll confess I'm a little behind in my Simpson references. It's been a while. But yet another one of the examples of the great community dedication in the sprite design. We have some amazing options available to us as players.
I thought you were going to go with the word artist, which I'm going to agree with you 100% in regards to that.
I will posthumously agree with your agreeing with me. Absolutely, 100%. The sprite artists are phenomenal. I mean, look at that Yosh. And Homer, come on. The only thing he needs is a donut.
Donuts.
We'll have to consult them about where the any key actually is, but in any situation, this is not retro mode. Humbugh finishing up Mothula as Rambler here is going to potentially find a glove down here. I don't know. I mean, it seems cruel. Chad has mentioned that you could potentially find both gloves down here. Would be quite the turn of events, as Rambler would once again have a nice hefty chunk of exploration advantage.
That is right there, Rambler. You do not have a lift upgrade. You will have to kill these enemies. You can't lift that block in order to progress. That is one of the things that people will tend to forget, is that you definitely do need gloves in order to take that shortcut. And the same thing does arise when you find Ice Palace in cross-key entrance shuffle type modes. Same thing with the Spike Cave.
So a lot of considerations for our runners here between this and the other modes that they might play. Rambler?
Did he not find the map or the compass? Because I'm thinking at this point he has already realized he's got all 4 items. We'll have to confirm that. Yeah, I believe he's got all 4 items.
I just got so afraid for him. But yeah, you're right. Astute viewers, more astute than I, have noticed with their eyes that Rambler does in fact have them all. So he's in good shape. He's going to complete the boss anyway, as you do not want to leave this behind if the pedestal is for some reason required. And technically speaking, possible.
It is possible because any of the items that we still have a need for in this seed could be on that pedestal. Could be our first lift upgrade. That'd be scary.
Yeah, if it's the first one, then we're definitely in trouble. We're in a sore spot. Rambler having a little bit of an off-rails blind fight, but handling it expertly in terms of the recovery. No
He
sweat.
didn't take a hit. He didn't take a hit, so yeah, that was a splendid fight for Rambler against Blind Humbug, about to get the bow right here. And he's the only one right now who can read that inscription on the pedestal to see whether or not it's something that we need, but you'd hate to see it at this point, but I need to put it out there. That could very well be the only dungeons we have beatable right now are 2 pendant dungeons, depending on what we need for desert.
Yeah, we certainly are closing in on Dark World, Overworld that we can even accomplish at this point. Both of our runners had the opportunity to go to Palace of Darkness. It didn't seem very appetizing or appeasing, whatever you want to call it, as no mirror, and at the time no bow, was definitely making it a no-go. However, now they have that bow, so maybe it will be so.
Rambler's going to be heading his way over to Hype Cave, and then at that point, I think we will see it play towards Desert. We already know that the item outside of Desert was no bueno, but what are the 2 items inside? Is it a completable dungeon? That's the very big question at this stage.
Yeah, as we've mentioned a few times so far in this seed, no boots, not the best feeling ever, and you certainly don't want to make desert your priority if there's a decent chance that that torch is required. We'll find out. I mean, sometimes you don't need it, and that could be the route to our progression here, so we'll see what ends up happening after Rambler goes to Hype Cave. He will get that book, and he may feel inclined to chase after it.
It would make sense the fact that you would chase after that book too. Like I said, when you have the choice between clearing a pendant dungeon or clearing a crystal dungeon, which one are you going to choose first?
And Rick, there is of course the one thing on the table the chat wants to remind us of, and I think we may have left it as the elephant in the corner of the room. Zora.
Nah, I'm not gonna acknowledge that at this point. This seed has not been wealthy for these runners. Why would we want to give in to that idea?
All I'm saying is, logically speaking, you're allowed to fill your wallet at any point, regardless of what you have. You can always get bombs. It's not that far-fetched, and nothing we've done so far has required a glove. Maybe that's the answer.
Something smells fishy. The fact that you're agreeing with the chat.
It's just that I can sense the narrowing opportunity here. These 2 are looking like they haven't done enough reps lately in the gym. They need some lift power, and it might be kind of expensive. They might need to buy some supplements from the Zora's Pharmacy in order to get there.
Is that your way of saying that Zora's a drug dealer?
I'm not accusing these runners of being, on substances to improve their performance, but they may need them at this point, as this seed has not provided them a lot of opportunities to get strong, nor finding any ways to get along. We don't have those boots either.
You have a masterful way of rhyming things.
The game kind of lends itself to that, but powder check here from Rambler. We had not had an opportunity to see that with the hammer plus powder combo. Not really a convenient way to get over here, since we kind of wanted to stay in the Dark World for a while.
All right, Rambler's going to be fluting, and I think it's going to be a flute to 6. And then Rambler proves me wrong and flutes to 3, because I think we are going to get that check. Here we go. It's going to be the ped check. All right, get the pet hype in chat, everyone. Am I going to have to commentate 2 straight pedestal seeds in a row?
You know, coincidences do happen in Randomizer. It is the nature of randomness. In fact, one of the reasons you can tell that something isn't random is because it's just too much of a pattern. Humans tend to do that even if they're trying to be random, but Randomizer C could totally give you the same thing back to back.
You know what else is a meme in this community? It's called PNR or PRNG or something of that nature, and it's time for a change of clothes. It's going to be a green 20 on the pedestal, because we don't have male upgrades in this.
I will say that's great knowledge for Rambler, though. Humbug doesn't have a natural opportunity to go up there unless he wants to terminate his route as well. And if Humbug doesn't check this anytime soon, maybe more inclined to finish bosses that might not have items. Whereas Rambler here knows, you know, if I gotta go into Eastern Palace, you know, I'm not killing the boss unless it's for an item. If I'm going to the Palace of Darkness, same deal.
Yep, and Eastern Palace would be finishing off because it has another thing attached to it, which is the green pendant, and there's Humbug just showing us that that was indeed a map. So Rambler did count his items correctly inside of the Thieves Town, so we're now inside desert. So we're getting ourselves to a bottleneck here. We are going to have to find something real soon. Like those!
I didn't catch that. What are those?
There's something that you can purchase at a store that is not sponsored by SpeedGaming or that doesn't sponsor content on SpeedGaming, so therefore I can't name them.
Gotcha. But we'll use those to stitch together or lace together some progression, hopefully. That will bring us over to the left side of Desert Palace. Unfortunately, with no mirror, we don't have all the fun ways to do this dungeon, but at least we're gonna go through that sand pretty quickly.
You know where I think the lift upgrade's going to be, Udai?
Bonk Rocks? King's Tube?
No.
Well, I mean, do tell.
Ether tablet.
That is a looming possibility. We do not need the mirror to get there. And it is a long roundabout voyage to get there.
And that's why I'm thinking it could very well be there.
How dare you admonish me for agreeing with chat when you're going to suggest something like that? Alright, we're all a bunch of filthy memers, let's be real. But we are cheering these two on. They are putting on a good show. And thinking their way through their choices, something that, you know, kind of gets understated.
Oh! Chat is, by the way, I mean, I talk bad about chat sometimes, but they are bringing up a very interesting aspect. Because Rambler's about to make a dumb move here. I guess not dumb, but a mistake in 3, 2, and 1. Whoops.
Hey, I'd be a liar to say I'd never done the same thing. But at least he's finding this out.
Like I said, it's like the same instance of you getting to the end of Spike Cave to find out. Oh.
I gotta be real with you, the Spike Cave hurts a lot more, like psychologically. Ugh.
Well, of course, because you're standing on spikes, and by the time you realize what you've done, that magic cape has just ran out.
Well, I guess that applies literally too, yeah. I mean, you will have taken more damage, it will hurt more. Rambler here gonna chase down the lead that followed after his fast shoes find.
Of course it's a fetch quest!
See, the funny thing there too, of course, 52 minutes into this race, you're hoping for an answer. You're like, all right, I found those boots. This has got to be the thing. My opponent could have done this, but, you know, that didn't make the most sense. But now, just to get that mushroom is really a kick in the teeth.
Also, kick in the teeth is blind going into the lumberjack to find that it's a piece of heart. There you go, Rambler. Enjoy. Humbugh! How many races do you have that go 52 minutes in and you still don't have a lift upgrade? That's not cross keys, that is.
Just call it out there, you know, folks. It's just this big old got him. You know, Sahasrabot wins another one, I guess. Whoever's running the randomizer logic here, certainly laughing a little bit. I am too. Honestly, everybody wins in this situation except for these two. Alright, we'll see if the seed can provide some more comedy. Rambler here gonna head over... where is he going?
Hey, Rambler. Remember, you don't have a lift upgrade.
And you can't.
You
I think you
have a lift upgrade. Runners, you don't have a lift upgrade.
3 for 3. You're out of there. Yo,
But
but
now
gets
you do
bailed
have
out.
enough rupees to get to Zora. I was about to say, Rambler, don't go to the right. You can't lift that rock.
Well, fetch quest aside, a blessing in disguise. Rambler here going to take advantage of the 50 rupes dropped from the mushroom. Some kind of exchange going on there. I'm not going to ask any more questions beyond that, as questionable as it may be. Rambler going to take that all the way into Zora's domain as Humbug follows the dense choice of Palace of Darkness despite being a pendant, which I think actually probably makes more sense overall.
5 items inside, and you can get all 5 of them right now if the price is right.
You know, it sure would feel lousy, though, if this is the glove here for Rambler and Humbug, doesn't find that because of everything else.
Alright, well, we get a key inside of that first chest, and now the Zora check. 10% rebate!
You know, there's worse feelings in the world. There's a 1 rupee, a 20 rupee, a 5 rupee. But not many worse feelings in the world. Rambler at least knows now that that's no longer a concern. So at least that's one thing off of his shoulder, despite the 10 things he just added.
Compass found for Humbug. That's the first of the 9 keys in the front area of the Palace of Darkness. Rambler now going to the Ether Tablet. Both of these runners probably screaming at me when they're watching this race back about how much we just commented about their lack of gloves.
Yeah, and that's the frustrating thing is, like, as you feel the pressure mounting from not finding not just 1 glove upgrade, but 2, you're thrown in these weird situations that very rarely happen. It's not a lot of seeds where not only do you not get gloves early to get the Dark World, but you just don't find them shortly after. They have to think through these situations in a couple of different ways than normal.
All right, a book and 2 swords are going to lead us
Oh boy.
to the thing falling down from the sky, and we finally, at 55 minutes in, have a lift upgrade.
Well, Rambler is now playing with power, having found that glove. Still looking for another one, and still a mirror as well. But at least gives him some leads. Humbug may very well find the other one, though. Palace of Darkness still on the table on that front.
And now Rambler's here, and he can actually do this since he picked up that glove. Thankfully, he did this after the trip to Ether, because it would have been another oops moment, as we mentioned just a few moments ago, had he done this in the opposite order. Spike Cave.
It would be a legendary place for the miss.
To bombs.
All right, so no double whammy, both hands, gauntleted. Rambler here gonna at least leave the mountain with 1 pair. As he takes a save and quit back to the old man, I believe, for a flute away. Humbug still finding everything else he can out about Palace of Darkness. No glove upgrade, no problem in this dungeon. But still trying to not spend, all day here. It is a pendant dungeon.
I laugh at these runners for moments when they try to lift up rocks without the upgrades, but you're going to give Rambler a lot of credit for the fact that he just sold that good bee for 100 rupees so he can get into pod.
Yeah, that's a real heads up. That's the thing you just gotta do in that situation, because farming it over by desert, 50 rupees per cave entrance is way too slow. He is going to save some time back here. And that's a potion for Humbug, which is going to be really nice for later. Unfortunately, it's not the progressive glove that he's hoping for, and Mirror here in Palace of Darkness would also feel good, but getting it at the end of the dungeon also feels awful too.
This feels really bad when you have to take this walk back because you're still at 12 hearts, full hearts that is, and don't have a way to set up a death warp.
Yeah, on the bright side, Humbug making this choice does allow him to use the sword beams, and that will save, well, at least if you didn't have quick swap, it would save you some screens in the back half. but is easier to do overall anyway. Unfortunately, going to Helmosaur King's not going to feel awesome. If you find something important here, great. If not, that's a lot of time sink, whereas Rambler might not bother if he finds enough items. I guess he probably still will. I mean, he's still looking for 2.
And bear in mind the fact that Rambler is going to be running through here as opposed to Humbug just walking, but this seed is starting to really be... Not really starting, but it's not necessarily one of those kind seeds. However, we still have one place that opened up to us thanks to those gloves.
Yeah, we also have Swamp... Or no, we need the mirror first, but if we had the mirror, we'd have Swamp. We really have, what, Green Pendant left?
Well, we have the Green Pendant turn in, we have Catfish.
Oh, and I guess we can finish Desert Palace now.
Yeah, of course, Rambler finding both items in there means that that's just for dungeon completion at this point.
Well, as we're approaching the hour mark and Humbug's doing the fight, quick recap, all we're looking for here is a glove and a mirror for our go mode. We have everything else we could really hope for. Humbug really hoping to find something here.
Yeah, little does he know that Rambler's in here as well. You feel really bad when you dive through a dungeon like this and get nothing out of it, and we got nothing out of it.
Yeah, not even waiting on that medallion, which is the right choice to make. No mirror to go back to Eastern Palace from there. So the save and quit gets you to that flute faster. We'll see where he wants to go from there.
Alright, so Humbug is going to be going into Desert Palace. We'll get the boots. And Rambler's not going to get that bomb to go in the right direction. And didn't get himself set up in the right, unfortunately, for the bomb jump. But we are just going to try this again. Or not. I was going to say this kind of helps you to route when you don't have the mirror.
Yeah, being able to avoid using that key. The interior rail clip via bomb jump, also known as hammer jump, certainly not an easy thing to do, even with pause buffers. It's a double Y coordinate, pixel perfect bomb placement and link placement. And you can also throw another bomb if you're extra spicy. Those of you who can do all of that bufferless, I salute you. Not many try it.
All right, round number 3 here for Rambler versus Hammer Jump. Trying to get himself into position. Has a little bit of a shadow of that bomb still, so he's not in the right pixel. I think he moved too many pixels down. Now gets it. I think he's in the spot now. There we go. Where was the key?
It's the bottom chest here in the maze.
So he gets it here.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, pause buffers in the NMG run, where it's most commonly seen, the Hammer Jump or Key Sanity. If you're not using Quick Swap, which NMG does not offer, you would have 2 pause buffers for free anyway, because you're swapping to different items. But being able to do it in 2 total is kind of the hallmark of an expert Hammer Jump.
Humbug, remembering that you need gloves in order to finish Desert, has saved and quit after pulling the piece of heart as well as the boots out of Desert.
Yeah, it's big news for Humbug that he went to do Desert before he went back to Eastern. Still lacking that glove, which we will find shortly here. Through the mushroom and... Wait, where was the glove again? It was Ether? Yeah, he'll be forced into that. Either that or Eastern Palace. But the longer he delays going to Eastern before finding that glove, the easier everything else is to parse out and understand.
I'm having a hard time understanding this seed.
Yeah, at this point I'm wondering if the glove is blocking the hammer, not the hammer, the glove is blocking the mirror, or the mirror is blocking the other glove. And this kind of leads to some of those coin flip scenarios where you're weighing your choices. How efficiently can I check these things when I'm missing one of the items? What's the time sink if I'm wrong? There's a lot of mental calculus going on in these 2 runners' minds, and over an hour into the race, that's kind of scary.
These runners' brains are mentally fried at this point in time.
Yeah, this is one of the rare opportunities where I feel pretty confident that we can speak for them in this regard.
I mean, we're seeing it based on the fact that they both have almost at the same time had oops with mitt or rather glove locked locations.
Oh, Rambler having a bit of a good old turtle siesta. If you're an MG fan from years ago, you might remember that reference. Certainly not the best turtle room, but he is emerging mostly unscathed. Going to take on the big turtle, Mr. Homosaur King himself. And Humbug's going to get his first glove, his lift upgrade, well over an hour in.
You feel weird when you have 63 minutes in, and that's when you finally get your lift upgrade. Anyways, he's going to do the same thing the Rambler did, going into Spike Cave, going to go ahead and check this. Half magic, have the cape, this one's simple. As long as we can get the cape loaded up, there we go. Because you don't like that cape delay. We've seen runners get into trouble because of cape delay. Piece of heart there for Rambler, not going to let that medallion fall because, or that pendant fall because he has absolutely no reason for it. And it's going to start at Link's house. And catfish. That's not catfish.
Well, green pendant, it looks like.
Okay. Eastern Palace for the green pendant.
Well, I gotta say, for those of you who played along a good 20, maybe 30 minutes ago with our prediction game about whether or not we find a go mode by 65 minutes in, you may have been hoping for the left half of your screen to provide that, but you might be cursing him saying, bah humbug, not finding that progression for go mode, as he is heading towards catfish, but it's just gonna be too late for your channel points, as I have won them all. Thank you.
That's been the statement from the manager here, as Humbug making his way over towards catfish, and is going to go ahead and see what the giant fish is going to be dropping, and Rambler having to backtrack because he hasn't pulled out the 100 or 300 rupees in this chest here, which really was the big difference between these two as far as rupee counts were concerned. All right, catfish.
You gotta love this optimistic bonk to set up for the quick warp on the mirror, hoping this is the mirror. And it is not.
Green pendant turted!
And yet again in the seed, Rambler finding himself in a situation where he's about half a dungeon ahead and checking the required progression. Humbug's going to exhaust all of their opportunities, though. I believe this is Zora.
Big play here, yeah.
So then I think he's forced at that point to head into Eastern Palace, if I'm right. Alright, Rick, you see the prediction in chat. What is the green pendant going to be? Is it mitts? Is it mirror?
Shovel.
That would be extra funny. Well, we're also going to assume that whatever leads to the item will count too. So even if it isn't shovel, what do you think it's going to lead to? Or even if it is shovel.
Shovel.
I dig it. Alright, maybe they'll dig it too. We'll find out here in a moment. Rambler making his way back to Armos.
I'm actually going to say mirror.
Yeah, I think the mirror is the extra funny kick in the teeth after we've been kicked in the teeth about 15 times. Alrighty, I'm putting it all on mirror. I'm in your camp. We'll see if Rambler here is going to have a smooth finish of Eastern Palace. It's looking good. He's doing things pretty much all the ways he'd want to in a speedrun.
You know, if this game continues to be like this, runners are going to start asking for me not to commentate their matches. Bring it on.
You know, Rick, I think the listening experience is worth the potential cost and sanity. Rambler here going to expend an extra arrow and still making the fast cycle. It's almost making the fast cycle. He looked like he was going to recover very well. And that is a map, of course, as we had no other items. But Sahazrala, what you got for us? We're going to find out here in just a moment.
Alrighty, so yeah.
I'm a little offended at chat clearly voting way against our choice here as soon as we mentioned it.
I mean, I could throw in some points, but that would obscure the odds. All right, here we go. Green pendant turn in, not the mirror.
Big oofs all around. However, that is Mitts, and Rambler probably thinking back to like real early in the seed when he was in the area. Didn't have a bow at the time, but it was that close to the glove that had eluded him for so long.
Both of these runners were that close to the glove that eluded them for so long. This seed is the definition of disgusting.
Well, we'll see Humbug shortly behind Rambler here, grabbing the Armos Knight's kill, hopefully in a fast cycle. Set up pretty well for it from the top right strat. Unfortunately, a slight mishap. We'll have to clean up on the regenerated health of the last one here in the bottom right.
Alright, so this opens up a lot of possibilities. Remember that dungeon that I was talking about earlier? That we had early access to, that we had pretty much all the tools until we finally get mitts that we were going to be able to get into. Yeah, that dungeon could be rearing its ugly head soon.
You know, we've already been brought up to the mountain to check that ether tablet. I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be that. Rambler here going to try and take care of the required dungeons first that he has to do when he's in the area, because, I mean, you wouldn't just not do this when you have everything to do it fast. This is an icebreaker here in Ice Palace. Rambler with a little bit of difficulty, as Humbug shows us how he feels about the mitts and Sahasrahla bombing him several times. Wanted terrorist here in Hyrule.
Yeah. Okay, so you know the interesting thing about this, the getting the mitts the way that we did?
What is that?
It's going to allow for a lot of choices. Route divergence is going to be huge. So one of these two is going to find the mirror. Obviously, one of these two is going to find the mirror. But it's not like it's a forced route.
No, as you mentioned, pretty much the entire world just opened up. And a lot of things that we were hard gated away from, like the mire area that we're seeing out of Humbug, or all of Ice Palace as we see from Rambler, they can be lengthy time investments depending on where you go and what you choose to do. Mire is completable. It's a 5-6. I definitely like where Humbug's head's at. Can't check Checkerboard Cave, so that's a potential isolation.
Rambler is really struggling with this icebreaker. This is, I mean, you see runners who do this, and their movements are fluid, they're smooth. This is just showcasing how hard this trick can be sometimes. But finally pulls it off. There we go. The persistence paid off. Unfortunately, what wound up happening is that you ended up losing more time to pull off the trick than you would have gained out of that when you got to that point. But the principle of the matter was what was the big thing at that stage for Rambler. It's good to see that he was able to do it, and there's the big key.
You know, there's also the considerations of, like, you know, what if I mess up Ice Palace Bomb Jump a bunch of times? You know, the cost of doing that is potentially a lot worse. We shouldn't be in any kind of magic trouble for Cold Stare thanks to Bombos plus half magic.
Yeah.
So there's some risk mitigation there as well.
We're setting up for a potential God Mire here if we don't need to find the mirror inside of this dungeon. Of course, Humbug would love to find the mirror, so that way he can lump that together with finishing off Desert Palace while he's in this area.
Yeah, being that there's only 2 items here in Misery Mire, a mirror find here would be excellent. There's a lot of item checks you'd be able to cut out from other dungeons. Swamp Palace rearing its ugly head at us.
3 bombs and 10 arrows so far have been found inside of this Ice Palace. Rambler's going to be heading over to the Iced Tea Room. Humbug is going to be taking the trip over to Vitreous first, because if he drops the mirror, that's it. You're in go mode. There's no other reason to invest time into this dungeon. So Humbug's doing the right thing here as Rambler finds the other item of Ice Palace. It's a green 20, and therefore the mirror is not here. I'm still bold in my prediction that Turtle Rock will have the mirror.
Yeah, it's definitely on the table. And I can't imagine these runners would pick it first. You know, Swamp Palace being on the table. You can do everything but Turtle Rock before doing Turtle Rock. Um, or not Swamp Palace. I'm sorry, you can't do Swamp Palace without the mirror. But everything but Swamp, you know, on the table for checks. Um, and so much Dark World locations like Dark Death Mountain that just opened up. Maybe we're going to see a Turtle Rock play after all. But with the cape in hand, Humbug's going to be a little more coherent than I am at the moment. I'm going to use his equipment wisely, using all of his arrows, actually, even giving one to the dungeon.
Gets himself a key, which is going to help him when he gets back inside of this dungeon. And I think the decision to use the cape was more of the fact that he got bounced around by one of the eyeballs, which kind of was the, yeah, I need to be safe with this fight. Nice double spin there for Rambler. And he gets Cold Stare taken care of and down. That was a solid fight there for Rambler, even though he couldn't keep him in the corner. He did use some decent strats to take care of the Puffs real fast.
Yeah, it only takes so much practice to get like the fast kill down for Cold Stare, but there's so much punishment for failing it. And it's something that unless you're doing it for like the speed run every single time, doesn't feel as comfortable as somebody who's, you know, done it like 100 times. So it's not surprising to see that, you know, Cold Stare gets out of the corner, but when Rambler does this without taking any damage, you know, doesn't take a long time doing it, definitely a great fight.
300 rupees in King's Tomb, which was a new check to us by way of the mitts that we just picked up here. Humbug is fluting and is heading to the mountain. This is the play. I think this really is the play. And Humbug also left without getting any items inside of this Misery Mire, so that could also come into play as well. So here's really where this the seed could make a big change for one of these runners. I don't know, Yudai. This is still a rough one to call at 75 minutes in.
You know, I think your instincts are right here, though. This is Humbug playing his win condition. Knowing that it took a long time to get those mitts, you kind of have to hedge your bets. I mean, if it ends up being deeper in Mire, you know, great, you found it, but it's a likely location for somebody else to skip under those circumstances. If it's here on Turtle Rock, your opponent may have jumped into Mire and finished it. You have a chance to, you know, make up some time. Humbug obviously can't see what Rambler's doing, but this is the scenario that would be most likely to result in a victory.
Bombos was required to get into Turtle Rock. Both of these runners had that. Just as a small recap here of this race, while we're waiting for cutscenes to take care of themselves, this is the match between number 13, NYRambler, coming in with a 4-0 record through groups, and Humbug with a 4-3 record coming out of that second part of the bracket, both of them having solid runs through their groups. Winner of this match gets Pika Pals in the second round of this 64-person bracket. Piece of heart inside of Hookshot Cave.
Yeah, and Rambler's playing to stay in this. He is down 1-0 against Humbug, but the winner of the series, as you mentioned, absolutely. Hookshot Cave is a dense location. Surprised not see anything yet.
Bombs there, so nothing inside of Hookshot Cave at all. And we will head now to the Super Bunny Cave. There are 2 items inside of here. 5 items inside of Turtle Rock, and we can get all 5 of them. So, chat pointing out. Green 20 in the first chest, red rupee in the second chest, so 40 rupees together. Chat pointing out that if the mirror turns out to be here in Misery Mire, that's pretty much game here. That's pretty much game, because Humbug left behind didn't get either of the items, and therefore this would be a last location return for Humbug.
And Rambler does appear to be going for the full completion here. He's not going to leave any items in this dungeon. He is potentially at risk of death here. He does have his red potion. He's going to expend it, so Humbug has one over him.
You have to. 10 bombs is the first item. That's blue, but not the blue we're looking for.
And not too endearing. Hoping to reflect on his choices here, or hoping not to have to. Having that mirror for later instead. Humbug has a lot more opportunity, but potentially more cost.
That's a map that is not something we needed to see at this stage. This isn't Key Sanity. We don't need those maps to help us out with our exploration.
Rambler going to go all the way through to the big chest here as Humbugg's checking more of the front half, going to get both of those small keys. Probably not going to skip anything unless he absolutely has to. Rambler's last hope right here.
He's also got a cutscene chest.
Oh, I say his last hope because everything else sucks.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, absolutely. So that's something he would have to go back in for, as he is heading straight to Vitreous. I don't know if Rambler goes back for that.
Well, if it turns out to be in cutscene chest, then we are going to be here for another half hour. Guaranteed.
Yeah, so I mean, the thing that's rough for Humbug here is, I mean, obviously we don't have to worry about something like Mimic Cave, you know, you don't have the mirror in Mimic Cave. But he does still have Ice Palace, you know, to do. And Rambler doesn't. So I don't know what to expect from this. We have the 5-6 crystals, I believe, so Rambler could potentially go to the Pyramid Fairy after this.
You've got the pyramid possibility. Of course, Rambler will lump that together with the catfish check, because I don't think Rambler did check catfish yet, so therefore that will be on the play once he does go there. I love the egg sprite.
Yeah, that Yoshi sprite is pretty solid. Certainly not fragile, as you just bop it once and it becomes a full-fledged Yoshi again. Alrighty, grabbing everything he can, Humbug's heading back. Rambler gonna take the powder for the extra little half heart there, no reason not to. And doesn't have a lot of arrows to work with. Can't really afford to expend them through the fight unless for the second phase, so he's gonna do damage boost strats, which I advise anybody with Tempered Sword to do if you have this much health.
Oh, yeah, that's not a hug you want to be taking right there, and we do see Rambler now switching over to a less sporadic hit here of just dashing through the eyeballs. And you need to have 3 hearts, because one hit from any of those eyeballs at this point, you're back to start.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get the magic refill anyway. Well, that's a cane of Burna.
That's blue, but not the blue we're looking for. Worst case scenario is we find the shovel. And that leads to the mirror.
You know, I don't know what you can infer from the shovel, but they can certainly inter something. I'm not sure what at this point, but that shovel would be a twisted turn of fate.
May have to dig into this a little bit deeper.
You know, call a spade, that could be the progression we're hoping for. Yet to see it, though. Of course, Laser Bridge would be a very funny and cruel place to get it. Funny from our perspective, cruel if you're worried about your hopes. As Humbug probably wouldn't feel that bad being an hour 20. He has a game to give. Rambler would not want to find a shovel. That would feel really awful.
All right, we know we're going to get a key in one of these chests. There it is, right there on Laser Bridge at 1 hour, 21 minutes, and 32 seconds. Humbug is the first of these runners to get into go mode with a chance to sweep this series.
Yeah, big news for him. Of course, he has no reason not to finish what he's doing here. That is a crystal. Does have Ice Palace to go mode. Swamp Palace would be an easy peasy go mode, of course, for both runners. So Rambler at this point just needs to hope that he gets up to TR ASAP. If he does, then there's a chance that he can still close this out. Humbug does have a decided advantage with that knowledge, though.
And the difference right now is the fact that Ice Palace is pretty much going to be a straight through dungeon for Humbug. Not much go mode's going to change about that, except for you're not checking Ice T. Now, the unfortunate thing here is what Rambler's up to is doing everything but Turtle Rock at this stage, and if he goes to Catfish, that's only going to widen Humbug's lead. Nice bomb dupe there for Rambler.
Yeah, this will get him 2 items, and of course the bottle refill. I imagine he'll probably do as well, as he did expend that potion. Yeah, Humbug gotta be careful here.
Humbug is finished down with the Trinex fight. Rambler finding the piece of heart and 50 rupees, and there's the bottle exchange that you were mentioning. And, well, that was a waste. And he is not going to catfish. Okay. So, I think at this point...
I think at this point, Rick, Rambler can't believe that he hasn't found that mirror.
I think at this point, Humbug has a lead.
Yeah.
It's not a huge lead, however. Both of these runners still need to do Swamp Palace. Both of these runners need to finish Desert Palace. We're seeing Humbug go and do that right now, in fact. The difference comes with the fact that Humbug has now done Turtle Rock. Rambler still needs to do that. And Rambler's done Ice Palace, and Humbug needs to finish that dungeon. It's not a huge lead at this stage.
So, I mean, I guess like the thing that would help Rambler the most as far as equalizing this would be to go directly into Turtle Rock and to skip Hookshot Cave and, the Super Bunny Cave, as he would no longer have any reason to check it after doing TR. And that would be a pretty nice chunk of time.
And we'll see if whether or not he's able to do that. You need to do Turtle Rock. It's a dungeon that is a crystal. You could very well find your go mode there, and it's not going to change a lot about how you route it. Very minor things change about Turtle Rock in go mode.
And the thing is like, I don't think you come back up to the mountain to do Turtle Rock, even if you found the mirror in those other locations, so, I mean, it might have been a gaffe for Humbug to do those first. We'll see if Rambler repeats that mistake. This could be a critical decision right here.
And he is going to spend the time to go to Hook. No, he's going in. That's an about face right there.
Rambler was seeing 10 minutes into the future to think about what we were about to say about it. I gotta congratulate him on that foresight. Or is it hindsight? Are we in hindsight? It's not 2020, it's 10 minutes, but... 2021 technically. I don't know where I'm going with. I'm turning into Rambler myself, but he is going to go into Turtle Rock. He will end up getting his mirror. Whether or not that closes the gap is another story.
Right. At this point, Humbug has a lead. It's not a huge lead, but it is... Okay, Humbug's going to Swamp first. Okay. I was like, where are you going? Please don't go after the Pyramid Bomb, but I realize... Okay, we didn't get the torches there, so we're going to have to wait a little bit of time there. So that's a little bit of time Rambler doesn't want to lose at this stage. And let's be honest, when Rambler gets this, he's not going to be feeling extremely great about his spot right now. More out of the fact that he did Misery Mire, and it was a God Mire.
Yeah, I would say that is the biggest thing that has cost him time in terms of the difference of, later game routing. And now Humbug could have some execution mistakes to, be worried about. Not that Humbug is really somebody who, messes up that often, but this is hard item pool. 13 hearts, green mail. You tend to take a lot of damage here in Swamp Palace just from chip damage and other potential sources. Humbug may have to be more careful than he might have otherwise been, although I don't think he's used his red potion.
I don't think Humbug's going to have an issue. Not with a go mode swamp. Because most of the things that you'd really be getting wrecked with are like going towards left side swamp. Okay, yeah, we lost a heart there. But a lot of the things that would come into play for what you take damage with are from trying to go to the other locations inside of this dungeon. In this case, we're going straight to Argus. And you mentioned you becoming Rambler. I've kind of become Rambler too, and just have completely lost train of how I was talking in this seed. But I do believe we are getting to a point where we can finally measure the lead that Humbug does have on Rambler. Again, Ice Palace isn't a long dungeon. Once Humbug is done with this, it's what, maybe 3 minutes at this stage with Icebreaker?
Or 5 minutes if you take a long time on Icebreaker.
And that's another thing that you got to keep in note. There are two big differences that occurred in this race. Humbug wound up God-miring or God-routing Mire, and then didn't go back in for the 2 items. That's difference number one. Difference number two is the fact that Rambler spent probably, you could measure about what, 2 minutes trying to do Icebreaker.
I mean, it might not have even been that long, but it certainly felt like that.
It felt like that long. And that those are things that can come into play, and that definitely is leading to the difference that we're seeing on the screen right here.
Yeah, because I mean, at this point, Humbug is about to finish up Swamp Palace. That'll leave just Ice Palace and then GT. Rambler still has quite a lot in the menu. He will be finishing up Turtle Rock here in a little bit, but with a Go Mode Swamp plus Desert, that puts him pretty much a full dungeon behind, Go Mode notwithstanding. Now, as mentioned before, you know, hard item pool, it's not free by any means. Death is certainly a looming possibility, although I do think both runners have a fairy.
And if not, they have the means to bottle one.
Yeah, so I mean, this should be in theory Rambler, wrong rod, or wrong cane. But this should in theory be a pretty straightforward finish for Humbug. But I wouldn't put it past anybody to have a gaff or a stumble in GT or in the climb or in, you know, Ganon himself. We've seen a lot of runs turn around in this tournament because of that. So I'm not counting out Rambler yet.
Not yet, people. We are one more dungeon away before we can start throwing in some numbers because of the fact that we still have to get through Ice Palace first. All right, so Rambler's now in Go Mode at 129.25, and will probably be upset about the fact that he did do all that extra checks at this point. Does not want to take a death. He needs to get that key. Oh, that's going to be a death right there. That's going to cost him more time. Oh, that's going to put him, I think, at this stage, now that we can measure it, it's probably about 3.5 minutes behind at this point.
Yeah, that's a really rough scenario for Rambler. And in terms of magnitude, Humbug's probably not going to face any sort of death here in Ice Palace that would be as bad unless it's Cold Stare itself. And even then, Icebreaker gets you back there pretty quick. The only comparable death in terms of cost at this point would come from GT, which I would not foresee. So Humbug's race to lose here. Now, of course, tournament nerves. I mean, he has a chance to secure his round 2 top. Wait, what's the math? Top 64? Top 32? I don't know. I mix it all up all the time. But Humbug does have a chance to, you know, move on with a win here. So could very easily throw him off. We've seen nerves get to runners before.
And chat kind of correcting it on that this one is more like 6 minutes now instead of what I was saying with the 3.5, because at this point Humbug has a 2-dungeon lead.
Yeah, even with a little bit of weirdness of the Icebreaker, does manage to pull it off after a couple of attempts, so reflecting even more time save over Rambler so far at this point.
And Rambler is just scrambling at this point, and I think you can tell that he's frazzled.
And who wouldn't be?
He is making a lot of execution mistakes, and these are execution mistakes that happen when you get frazzled, and I think that death on Laser Bridge really sent him over when he already kind of had an idea that he was probably behind to begin with.
This has certainly been a tense race for both of these runners. There's no point in which you feel like your opponent couldn't have made a better choice. There's no point in which you felt like, oh, hey, everything's working well for me. No, there's no lift upgrades in this seed until way late. So this feels very uncomfortable for any runner. Well, Humbug gonna shove the statue left. Not the way I normally do it, but you know what? I like seeing different strats. Going to use that Fire Rod against Cold Stare. Could use Sword Beams if you really want to preserve all of it, but I think Tempered Sword's perfectly fine on its own.
Yeah, when you have half magic, you're not that concerned about it. Couldn't keep him in the corner, but Humbug finishing up with his 7th and final Crystal Dungeon, which means now the people that are in chat whom we're trying to spam some numbers a little bit ago can go ahead and do so. Eudaimonistic, get the game going. Start it.
You know, you love to do it here on SpeedGaming. Really, in any Link to the Past randomizer race, there are 22 item locations in Ganon's Tower basement. One of them's got to have that key. and we need that key in order to ascend the tower and defeat Agahnim 2 and defeat Ganon. It's a requirement of every seed here in this tournament. So we like to play a game. Guess which number you think it's going to be. Of course, we're going to base that off of Humbugh's choices, as I can't imagine Rambler's getting back into the dungeon before he finds it. And we'll count them out. We'll see what it's going to be. What do you think is lucky today, Rick? I guess 14.
2.
2 would definitely bode well for Humbug, unless it was Rambler's 2 and not Humbug's, but 2 would be a signed, sealed, delivered finish for this, barring catastrophe.
Humbug, those dead rocks weren't boding well for Humbug earlier on here. So here we go, making our way up to the tower. We've got ourselves those checks. We got people still spamming some numbers. You still can get those numbers in. We are going to give you some internet props if you are able to score this big key guessing game correctly. We don't have the bot running. Yell at Sinek, because Sinek is a really busy person. Not only does he admin this tournament, but he oversees the Hashra bot, which does a whole lot for a whole bunch of different communities.
I was gonna say, in terms of like utility, that guy literally is the most productive person in this community. Hats off to Sinek. That guy's a dynamo. Also, really cool guy to meet in person. If you ever get to see him at a GDQ or something, you're likely to get a Burger King crown from him.
If you're able to keep him in one place, because he's always moving around. That's one thing that I've always noticed when seeing him at a GDQ or a SpeedGaming Live.
Since we have a few minutes to talk about this sort of thing, folks, if you haven't been to like a GDQ, and here's my pitch for it because it's a fun time. There's a lot of speed gaming folks you'll see there, and a lot of Zelda folks. So the kind of stuff you participate in, like a 50-person multi-world or one mind race with Randomizer, you usually get like a seed pack for it. So if you ever get the chance to attend an event, you're gonna find a lot of Z3 fans, and it's a really great experience to hang out with people who like this game and play it together. You may get stepped on, but there's usually a meme run to learn. It's a lot of fun. If I ever see any of you there, say hi. I'd love to chat.
Yep, Summer Games Done Quick coming up in July, which is going to be an online event again this time around, but hopefully we can get back to being in person come AGDQ 2022. So my guess of number 2 is out the window. It's time for you to see if your guess is correct, Yudai.
Come on, 14. I also like more competitive races, but we'd really want the last possible if you're a Rambler fan. Humbug will end up going all the way to the right, though. Alright, well, bot command won't be a thing today, unfortunately, but you can always guess in posterity. Of course, we've cut that off at this point if you're interested in playing in the unofficial version of it. Getting some golf strats here from Humbug as he heads to the compass room. 4 checks here. I lost count, actually.
That's a number, and that's a number. I believe that's number 11. 4, 4, 2, and 1. Yep, that's 11.
Welcome to the Ganon Tower big key guessing game, where the locations are made up and the points don't matter anyway. Whose key is it anyway?
It's my key, and I want it fast.
Well, no scenes from a hat here. We're certainly going to know where we're heading.
But that's my favorite game!
Honestly, if we could do something like that for a live event. Alright, so Humbug going to continue on towards the left side. We've got the chest in the fire bar room. We have, of course, the randomizer room, so aptly named because you don't ever go there unless you're playing randomizer. And then you got the ice armos.
And Humbug is showing us how the crystal switch works. A lot better execution with the second one there. I know what Humbug was trying to do. He was trying to get it to go at the upper right angle as opposed to just straight right, but just misfired it those 2 different times. So I know exactly what Humbug is doing. It's just it's easy to sit here and find a little bit of enjoyment, but these two, they've been playing really, really hard. Give them a follow, please, okay? These two, they always are playing Link to the Past Randomizer. They are always having fun. Well, most of the time. I can't say always. 14 no, 15 no, 16 is a no, and 17 is a yes. If you picked number 17, congratulations. You are a winner.
But yeah, I mean, Rick is making a great point, though. These two have battled it out. They've been through qualifiers, groups, everything. And they are worthy of our praise, and I'm glad we have the opportunity to highlight them. Big shout-outs and thanks to all the volunteers of this tournament. We really get to see a lot of amazing Zelda players because of that stuff. So we're grateful for that opportunity. Also, since we have a moment, may as well thank our tracker today, Slowpoke, for pushing the buttons for us. Certainly helps us figure out what we're looking at, because I think Rick and I can both say that this was a doozy to try and sort out.
Yes, it was. Also, I do see a 17 from Cowum HG. Congratulations, you did pick the number right. Also, Meffin 88. Seeing a 17 also from Lord Jabu Jabu.
Yes, our local Zora's domain representative who is trying to get revenge for the lack of Zora importance earlier.
And Lord Jabu Jabu was the first one to put down 17, so they get the bonus point. Kudos! Thank you.
All right, well, we won't get a hoedown from these folks for winning.
But that's my other favorite game.
But, you know, the points, I guess, do matter psychologically, so you always want to keep playing that game. I don't know. There's just some sort of charm. It's kind of like with Super Mario RPG, how they want to, you know, call their shot.
What are you going to take from me next? Three-headed Broadway star?
I'm not going to do that. Speaking of three-headed Broadway stars, on the way to the broad conclusion of this race, Humbugh taking down Lamolus 2, climbing up GT, roaring, as Rambler here ranting and roaring through the Turtle entrance portal with that super speed. I want to appreciate, even though I'm not going to sing it here on mic, there has been a Big Key Hoedown posted in chat, and I respect the community for so quickly becoming poets.
Fine, I'll do it. I'm looking for the big key. I'm looking everywhere. I thought it would be right side, but that just isn't fair. It wasn't with the staple hoses. It made me want to sub. It was possible the guard was okay. I ran out of notes here. I'm sorry. By the way, we have another race coming up here on SpeedGaming, coming up in 20 minutes. Core Ride versus Obscure Life Form Game 3. And if you enjoyed what happened yesterday in Game 2, you'll love Game 3. Drosy and Vortex of Doom will be on the call for that match.
Well, whether it's staple hoses or steeple chases, this has been quite the race. And there are many more, as you mentioned, here on the schedule. Of course, if you want to see all of the tournament that you can possibly see, your best bet is to follow all these speed gaming channels, speed gaming 1 through 6, and ALTTP Randomizer 1 through 4 for our volunteer run restreams. There's a lot of matches in this tournament, and we still have quite a few to go. Of course, the tournament Discord and the schedules posted there and on Speed Gaming are kind of your best bet for keeping track of everything between the challenge and the schedule. As Humbugh's hoping to carry this all the way to the end, we'll see. Definitely has to close this out against Rambler, but is well on pace to do so here, and going into Agahnim too.
So yeah, stay tuned for that race coming up after the conclusion of this race, as Humbugh is at Aga 2 at this point. Thankfully, we're not going to have 7 blue balls like we did in the first Aga fight.
Minor oof there against Agahnim 2 for Humbugh, but we'll be able to turn this around. 2 missed opportunities, but probably not too important at this point.
All right, there it is. And that Aga 2 fight is down, and Humbugh is going to be playing the wonderful game that we love to play against Ganon in just a few short moments.
Well, Rick, there is a version of the Big Key Hoedown that did rhyme, so, you know, the community does improve on its iterations. After all, we once had a version of the Randomizer that didn't even shuffle pendants and crystals back in the day when it was a standalone patcher.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not even going to bother with that one, although I do give credit to Homemade Beer for coming up with it, because we are on Ganon. I don't want to take away from the finish of this race. Also coming up at 6:10 today, Hitsuen versus Aussie. Game 3, Gamachu and Soldier on the call for that one. And GFE 12 versus Blaine at 9:10 tonight. Radical Sniper and Tracy M. That's going to be a fun commentary team right there. As we've now reached stage number 3. Humbug down to... Oh, that bat was too close. I thought he was going to get hit with that bat.
Yeah, Humbug really clipping to the closest possible degree. His wings nearly, or I guess the Yoshi wings, if we had eaten the correct shell. No such, upgrade here, as we are only green mail. Again, of course, reminding us that we do not get silver arrows here, that you'd find them on Zebus.
Yep, it's time to spin to win, and we're now 2 spins in out of 12 for Humbug. 12 spins to get him into the next round to face Pika Pals if he's able to hold on here. Spin number 3. And now we're 4. We are 1/3 of our way through this fight. There's 5, and over here to the top left, that is halfway done at 6. 7 now for Humbug. It's 8 before the torch goes out, has to relight. Number 9, that was well timed. There's number 10, bottom for number 11. And 1, oh no, that was 12. I was off on my count. It doesn't really matter. Humbug has now advanced in this tournament and will be facing Pika Pals in the second round. Get your GGs in the chat after Humbug has swept the series against NYRambler.
Yeah, quite the accomplishment. As you mentioned before, Rambler went 4-0 in groups and had a pretty commanding, qualifier performance. So this is a huge win for Humbug. No slouch in his own right, but if you wanted to make your way deep into the tournament, beating somebody like Rambler is a great, stepping stone in that path, as that is not a free win. All right, well, we'll see if we can get Humbug in here for an interview. Looks like he is in the waiting room, so we'll pull him up here when he's ready, as Rambler continues his climb up. All in all, closing the gap more than I might have expected given the difference earlier. Certainly performing well in GT. And we are joined by the victor of the race today, Humbug. Congratulations, GG. You have swept the series. How are you feeling?
Thank you. I'm feeling pretty good, apart from this crap seed. But it was,
thank you for censoring yourself on that one.
Yeah, we all know that it's your fault, Rick.
It's not my fault.
What?
It is your fault. It is. I'm blaming you.
Shambles for Rambles.
But yeah, those pair of, well, double pair of gloves, I suppose. They were. There's like no way around last locating either one or both of them. I think I last located both actually, because I think the only checks I had left when I went to Ether Tablet was actually Ether Tablet and Green Pendant.
So here's the thing. Obviously, this was a case of where in the world are we going to get the gloves? It's weird the fact that we went, 65 minutes for you before you were able to get that first pair of gloves. And obviously, given the fact that it was all the way back up on the mountain, which you've already had to climb once before, you weren't going to go back there anytime soon, but this definitely was an evil kind of seed for both of you, and we did get to see a few moments of, oh, right, I don't have gloves from both of you in this run.
Yeah, I tried to. I think I tried to go to pod. Yeah, I tried to go to pod, and I couldn't go to pod. Not that way, at least. It was. It was a kind of an awakening. I remember that I didn't have the gloves when I was in Thieves Town. That's something, because I didn't try to lift the rock, at least.
Yeah, but of course, then you flew to 5 and tried to lift that rock. Oh,
Yeah.
wait.
Yeah, there's something missing. Over 1 hour in and no glove.
Yeah,
It's so rare.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're not normally used to that. Of course, we saw Rambler try to lift up the near desert money grinding cave, but to realize, oh wait, we don't have gloves.
Yeah, we called those 3 for 3 victories for chat today on those moments. Definitely everyone found that funny. And it happened to both of you, so no hard feelings either way, but certainly entertaining for us.
So naturally, of course, the big change in this run came with the fact that you decided that you were going to go mode Misery Mire. What led you to the decision to just simply God route that mire?
First of all, I was going to the mire area first, just in hope of Mir being in Mire Shed, since I still had to do Landmo, so I was just hoping for like next check Mir, so I could just do Landmo, Mire, and then go mode everything else. But then it was a God Mire, and I figured, okay, this might be quick. There's a lot of stuff on the mountain. There are stuff in ice that's pretty quick. I just felt like I felt behind. I felt very much behind since I last located both clubs. But that was basically my decision.
And there was a little bit period where it did seem like Rambler had a little bit of a lead on you, but yeah, that decision coupled with the fact that Rambler had a real rough go at Icebreaker, that did lead to the difference in the run for the both of you here, as we do see Rambler facing off against the Ganon fight.
Yeah, and I'll say that the end sequence is certainly a strong factor. I mean, Rambler did pretty well through the GT sequence as well. We're seeing him right now fighting Ganon, having a pretty good first and second phase, which, you know, I think was the same for both of you. I wanted to ask you, Humbug, did you ever have a fairy?
I don't think so. No, I had a red potion. I knew that I had a red potion. But through the Ganon fight, I took more damage than intended. Well, I took damage that was not intended, but I knew that I had my red potion, and I knew that I could take one more fire bat in the last phase. So I felt fine, I think.
By the way, we're going to have a little bit of a paradox here, as we do see Rambler is still fighting Ganon. However, he is now joining us for the interview here because we are running short on time and we have another race coming up in 10 minutes. So, Rambler, your thoughts about this seed as a whole?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. And as I was mentioning to Humbug here, both of you showcased a moment of, oh, wait, I don't have gloves. What were your thoughts when you did those maneuvers?
Yeah, I always forget that I don't have gloves when I try to kill Landmo.
And as we were talking about with Humbug, I mean, that's such a rare scenario where you're this late into the seed and you don't have them. And I think chat was the winner, as we were talking about before. You know, both of you guys ended up having those moments. But at any point, you know, in this race, did you feel like, hey, my opponent's got to have like 20 minutes on me? Were there any like item locations that really made you worry?
No, actually, I thought there was a slighter chance I was ahead when I found Fire Rod, because I would think maybe Humbug would skip that before doing Aga.
And
he didn't. He cleared everything before Aga. I skipped Eastern.
It turned out to be the Humbug did get that because he went there immediately after getting the flute activated. The big difference, I think, came in around the later part after the mids were found. You struggled with Icebreaker. That lost you a little bit of time, but Humbug God-mired.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about God-miring, but I figured... And when I realized that the other item was on the big key chest, I regretted God-miring because I was going to skip that eventually, no matter what. I was hoping to find two items before I knew it was there. And when I found map and compass, I was like, well, there was a compass in the compass chest, so the big key chest has to have an item. And that's when I knew, yeah, because I knew he would probably skip that. I should have gone for it, because if Mira was there, I'd probably win that. But, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the potential payoff is huge. I mean, kind of a coin flip at that point. And I see why both of you made the choices you made. Well, also to catch us up on the stream as well, Rambler, of course, finishing at 151.21 in racetime.gg. So wanted to ask you, since we are a little short on time, just to kind of summarize your thoughts about the tournament. I mean, you definitely had a really good run.
I had the weirdest tournament. My qualifiers were horrendous. I played amazing in groups, and then I got rolled 2 horrendous seeds in brackets.
I mean, this is exactly what a randomizer does to you. It giveth and it taketh. And, you know, the fact that you made it into the round of 64, you should be definitely proud about that. And
Yeah, I thought I was
you
gonna
did
be
well.
I thought I was going to be like top 16 the Challenge Cup at some point, but instead I'm here.
And you had yourself a good run through this tournament. So definitely GG's to you on that. And good luck to you with the ladder. And when we get to League coming up a little bit later on this year.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I know I'll be tied up with work, so I'm glad. Like, I'm upset that I'm done, but now I don't have to stress over this. I can, you know, work overtime if I need to, my real life job.
And we can get you into the commentary booth too.
Literally what I was about to say.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have to drag me there because it's hard with my scheduling at the moment. That's why I haven't done it as much as I usually do.
All right. Thank you very much, Rambler, for playing in the tournament, and good luck to you in your upcoming endeavors.
Keep it going. I know Pika Pals is going to be a tough matchup. It's going to be fun to watch.
And speaking of that, let's turn to Humbug. Your thoughts about facing Pika Pals in the second round?
Yeah, I'm a bit scared. I don't think I've ever actually faced Pika Pals in Rando at all, but I know him as someone who had played the game for a long time when I started playing, and I know that he's really good. I will have a hard time keeping up with him. I'm gonna try, but I know it's gonna be tough.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, and we'll see how exactly it goes. Look out for Humbug versus Pika Pals in round number 2. We have to get on out of here because we've got the next match coming up. Core Ride versus Obscure Lifeform beginning in 5 minutes. Shoutouts to Slowpoke316, our tracker. Shoutouts to you, Diamonistic, my commentary partner, and I do love doing commentary with you. I'm Adirondack Rick. I'm going to let Udai say the final word, but stay tuned. We got more Rando here on Speed Gaming in just a few minutes.
All right, check it. Okay, so Humbug, I'm going to offer you one piece of advice about your next matchup. In terms of your opponent, you know, keep in mind his type of racer. You want to keep your ear to the ground, and hopefully have a type advantage over him. But good luck to you in the rest of the tournament. Folks, I've been Diamonistic, joined today by Rick. We'll see you next time.